So it's called Choose Wonder Over Worry. And it basically brings to life all of these stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves. All of these, and I bring worry and wonder to life as these characters. Worry is our inner critic. Wonder is our curious inner guide. And basically, what I discovered over the last 10 years, both with myself and any person that I worked with, is that whatever we were feeding, whether we were feeding worry or feeding wonder, that is the life we created and who we became.
You're listening to the Almost 30 podcast, a lifestyle podcast hosted by Krista Williams and Lindsay Simsick.
Tune in for a new episode every Tuesday to hear our honest conversations about topics like wellness, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and self-development with guests who are really smart, really inspirational,
and really fucking funny. It's real, it's raw, and it's unfiltered.
Inspired by our transition from our 20s to our 30s, we realized it's so much more than that. Our mission is to provide you with the tools, guidance, and motivation to help you navigate any transitions in your life and propel your personal growth.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Almost 30 podcast.
Here we go.
What's up, everybody?
Sup, yo?
Welcome to the podcast. Guys, do you think we cuss a lot or no? I feel like we don't, actually.
What the fuck are you talking about? So we got some feedback. Literally, we get
one bad feedback,
and we're like
to our face.
I was digging my grave in the backyard.
Mm-hmm. Honestly,
that's how it feels.
For the rest of the day, I'm going to think about.
It's annoying.
One person saying that we cuss sometimes, but cussing is like you have a perception of what a curse word is and what a curse word represents. And you have a perception that a curse word means something bad based on what?
Well, because I think, growing up.
My mom.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's more like, don't cuss. That means you are uneducated. That means you are whatever. So, we're preaching, not preaching. Sorry. It's the wrong word, but we are hopefully inspiring and building a community of women who are all of these great things. And some people think that cursing doesn't align with that truth. Yeah. And just for us, it just comes out and that's our truth. I don't really know.
I think with our guests too. Like I want people to feel like they can express themselves.
If they want to.
Yeah. So, let's have a conversation about it. What do you guys think? Open to your suggestions. All of that.
Also, Almost 30 is tagged explicit. So
yeah. I just got a DM from someone that we DM'd about an interview and they're like, hey, yeah, sounds good. I'm not 30. Is that okay? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
When we were moving, I had my Unbound goodies that they sent us. So Unbound is sex toy company.
Who found them?
Zach. I left it on purpose. So Zach and Justin had to move my dresser. And so I just left the glass dildo in the top drawer.
Love.
Hilarious.
Have you...
They didn't think it was funny though. They were kind of freaked out.
Like, oh God. And they're like tossing it between each other. Like, don't touch it. You touch it.
They're like, it's all slick too. I'm like, no, it's not.
I had a friend of mine stay at my apartment and like and he's a guy, while I was away. And I was like, I didn't even think twice about like, he's like, don't you think I'm going to snoop or something or like find some stuff? I was like, huh?
Sniff my underwear,
I'm
sir?
like, no. I'm like, do your thing. I have nothing to hide. But I was like, oh, hilarious. He's definitely going to go through my bedside table and find some things.
100%.
Whatever.
And do what?
He's like, I don't even know what a vibrator would look like. I'm like, all right.
Okay.
That's a lie. As he presses the button and it starts to vibrate.
Yeah. So he like tickles his balls.
Do vibrators feel good on balls?
I wonder.
I always wonder that.
I do too.
I feel like it would be too much. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let us know.
So, guys, we are in the thick of it on tour. Come see us on tour. We would love to see you. We've had some really impactful, meaningful conversations, and it just means a lot, to see you guys connect with one another and then create your own communities on Facebook, in Boston, Chicago, LA, all the cities, and then outside of it. So, we really are here to facilitate you meeting other like-minded, amazing, awesome individuals and to provide you inspiration and guidance as much as we can in a way that is easy to digest and consume. that is what we are here for. So welcome to the podcast again. We are so happy you're here. And this is going to be a good one with our friend, Amber Ray.
Yeah, we were so lucky in
Amber
New York.
went to college with me.
I know.
At Miami. Oh, she's a little bit older, but she went to Miami of Ohio. So any alum.
They seek you out.
I know.
I love that.
I know.
Or like you guys are just connected is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I don't really.
It's because it's like we came from it's not very common, I guess, to be, living in New York as a writer or living in LA as a podcast host, from Ohio.
Sure.
From Hamilton, Ohio. So when she DM'd me, I was like a little, actually, she's done so much work in her book. Actually, I read it all. Is incredible. I really love it. And I love following her on Instagram. But I was like, oh, she went to Miami too. And I'm like, I kind of was like, huh. Yeah, because I know people have their assumptions of it. But Amber Ray is awesome. She's basically like the Brene Brown of Wonder. She is an amazing artist and writer and a creative. And this podcast was so fun.
Yeah,
Chloe said she loved it.
When Chloe sits up and says we were in a hotel room in New York on the Lower East Side at Hotel Indigo, and we were just hanging in the hotel room recording, and Chloe was in bed doing work, like doing her little thing, and then her head pops up. She's like, I loved it, and I was like, oh, thank God,
that was a good one. I know, thank God. She's our toughest critic. I was like, thank God, it was awesome. But yeah, it was awesome. It felt so natural. It felt so right. She was so vulnerable and honest about her journey and things that it inspired me to be more vulnerable about. She talked about having an attraction to someone else outside of her relationship. So it really inspired me to kind of think about how really being honest about your emotions or feelings with your partner could help you guys really grow and expand and kind of giving them opportunity. Not saying that I have had that feeling with Justin or anything like that, but I just was really inspired about the authenticity and the vulnerability that she shared. And if you guys want a good follow on Instagram, I really love following her page. She's a great artist. And especially for entrepreneurs and creatives, it really, I find I relate to a lot of her posts.
So Amber Ray is an author, artist, speaker. She is a curious human being. Her new book, Choose Wonder Over Worry, is liberating people all over the world. And, she's just like you. If you found yourself in a job, in a situation, in a relationship where you feel stuck, where you feel like weight on you as if you can't be inspired or move to a higher sense of yourself, she's been there, and she is helping people over the world become unstuck and really conquer any fears. So we hope you enjoyed this conversation with Amber Ray. She is a light, and we are so grateful to have had this discussion with her. And if you love this episode, pass it on to someone. It means so much to us. Please join our secret Facebook group. We are waiting for you in there. There's over 5,000 of us. Don't let that intimidate you. These conversations are real and raw, and it's a super, super supportive community. People all the time ask questions, however deep and vulnerable, and minutes later there are 20, 30, 40 comments supporting them, helping them. So please join. We'd love to see you in there, and definitely find us on tour. We're halfway through. Probably not halfway. It's probably going to go on forever. We just love meeting you guys. It's the best. It's actually life. So thank you. If you've already come on the tour, we really, really, really appreciate it. almost30podcast.com/tour. Can't wait to see you.
Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to hug your little body.
You're the best. Well, I'll see you on the other side. Enjoy this episode. This episode is brought to you by Kopari Beauty.
Oh, just discovered that they have a skincare system. Had no idea.
Oh,
well, I did, but I didn't necessarily know because I've just love a lot of their products so much. So I'm just kind of like working through. But I am really, really loving their system. It's all natural, all clean and simple ingredients, and it's making my skin feel amazing.
Well, it's interesting is I was always like kind of hesitant about the oil. Oil pulls oil out. So if you're worried like, oh, I already have oily skin, it's actually what you want to be using.
I know.
I didn't know that.
So they have the cleansing oil, which really helps to clear your complexion, get rid of irritations, help soothe blemishes if you have them, which I do from moving. Oh, yes. And then they have the toner and then the Save Face oil. And then I use the face cream after at night.
And I am really loving, and I've told a lot of you about this, the deodorant. So there's no aluminum, no baking soda, no parabens, no silicone, no phthalates. This deodorant is my fave. I'm loving it. It smells delicious. It goes on smooth and clear. And just, we've had a lot of questions about natural deodorant in the group. And the thing about natural is like the one sacrifice you kind of have to make is that you might have to apply it more than once a day, and that's okay because it is healthy for your body and safe. So I'm down with that.
And we just want to give you options with it too.
Totally.
So that's what we talk about a lot in the secret Facebook group is natural deodorants and what options there are out there. Kopari has always been Lindsay's fave.
Yeah, I love it so much. They use pure in all of their products, pure organic coconut oil sourced from the Philippines. All the products are made as natural as possible with the safest ingredients. So you just don't have to worry. And they're totally transparent about their formulas and they stand by every ingredient. So if you want to try Kopari, you can go to koparibeauty.com, Kopari beauty.com, and use our code ALMOST30, ALMOST30 for 15% off.
Enjoy.
This episode is also brought to you by Hum Nutrition.
Guys, I had a real big revelation.
What?
I was just making my smoothies recently and I was putting so many different types of powders in and I was like, and one of them was Hum Nutrition because I used their raw beauty powder and I've used it forever. But then I actually read the ingredients and I don't need anything else but
You were
that.
doubling up.
I was tripling up. It has all the superfoods. It has things like barley grass, wheatgrass, spirulina. Like I was putting extra spirulina even though that's already in there.
Yeah.
It has adaptogens in it like astragalus, which is great for hormone health. Rhodiola, which is also great for your thyroid. So there was like tons of stuff in there that like I was doubling up on, but I didn't realize that it was like a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Guys, the raw beauty powder is all you need and it's freaking delicious. You can have it in a shake.
So good.
You can have it in water. It's so bomb.
And I've actually been baking with it.
Oh, I love that. What'd you
Yeah,
bake?
you can do like raw, almost like energy balls, like you would make with, it's kind of your preference, but cashew butter,
dates,
seeds, dates, and then mix in raw beauty powder. I like the mint.
I love the mint.
chip.
The tahini vanilla is bomb too.
Yeah.
That was really good.
So good. They also just came out with their collagen pop. So you get to upgrade your water, transform your skin. It really does work. It has collagen, vitamin C, and we just love it. It's easy. You put it in your purse, break it up and put it in your water.
I had it when we were in Boston and New York. And I would just put it in my water to drink in the morning just to make sure I would get my collagen because any other way is just the powder sometimes is like, you're on a flight and you can't put the powder in the thing. It just like was easy. I had them in my purse, dropped them in my water. My water tastes delicious. It was easy.
And there's something about having a sparkly drink that makes it, for me, easier to digest or like easier to drink. That's what I mean. And it creates like this rose water. It kind of tastes like rose water lemon beauty tonic. I love it.
Yep.
HumNutrition.com, HUM Nutrition.com. Use our code ALMOST30NATION for 15% off your first order. So that's HumNutrition.com. Almost30Nation is the code for 15% off.
That's your first, how many podcasts? First podcast? On others?
No, I've done about 100.
100?
Yeah.
I thought this was exclusive. Oh my God.
I love that.
Yeah, this is my second one in person though.
Okay, good.
Oh,
and you're
okay,
going to see
cool.
the magic.
Yeah.
Whoa, that is crazy.
And this is, I will say, one of the ones I was most excited about.
Thank you.
I feel like the community is just so spot on with.
Oh, spot on. Yeah, when you
alignment.
messaged me, that was
Completely
crazy
agree.
because you were like, yeah, I went to Miami. I'm like, I don't really know anyone that's like,
In this space.
yes, create like a creative,
Outside of the box entrepreneur.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably me not knowing what anyone's doing, having my head in my ass. But I really was like so surprised. And then I was like, looking at what you're doing. I'm like, wow, that's like incredible. How did you what was the tipping point, I guess, from growing up in Chicago, going to a mostly white college, Miami, that was not very diverse, to where you are today? Like, how did you become someone that is so open, is so aligned, is doing something different, is living in New York, is an author, is a creative? Like, what was that like?
It was the breakdown.
Yeah.
It was, I feel like even Miami into Chicago, even into San Francisco, I was working in Silicon Valley, is very much following the path of who I thought I was supposed to be and who I thought other people wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
I was popping Adderall to be more productive and to be thin. I was thinking I need to climb the ladder. I was really just hustling for approval. And that led to a full panic attack and breakdown moment. And that's when I realized this is so not me. Like, this is not my life.
Where'd you have the breakdown at?
There were a few breakdowns.
Where's your breakdown place of choice?
I mean, I remember the first where I pulled an all-nighter at Miami. It was like Adderall, which very
as
was
you
a
do.
big thing at that school. And I remember having actually a seizure outside of my apartment. And that was like one of the scary ones, but that didn't have me stop. So there were a few moments, like a few scary, like
an actual seizure.
Well, I blacked out.
Oh my God.
And came in and out of consciousness. And then
your nervous system just going crazy.
And then 20 minutes later, I don't know how long I was passed out for.
Yeah.
And then I woke up and I was outside my front door, on sidewalk.
Someone delivered you.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's crazy.
And then
were you prescribed?
I manipulated a psychiatrist.
I tried to, and they caught me. I was like, yeah. She was like,
she's talking to you, and you're like, what did you say? I'm thinking about 8 other things.
I literally was acting.
You're like, what do you think that is?
Yeah, she's like, I'm like, huh? What's that butterfly? And she was like, I think you need more help. No joke. She's like, I think you need to see someone else.
What's above a psychiatrist?
Anyways, but that was a blessing in disguise. But continue. How'd you do that?
And I feel like I was a few years before you. So I think they were starting to catch on by around, we were sharing, I graduated in 2007, you graduated in 2010. And so I probably went in 2004 or 5. And I was recommended someone who did the same thing. So I went and saw her guy in Cincinnati. And I just went in and knew what he wanted to hear. And he wrote me a prescription for 60 milligrams a day.
You're lying.
Which is what would kill a small cat.
Dude, that's crazy.
It was, I wasn't taking that much. And then of
how
course,
did you know not to take that much? You just knew by...
Well, yeah,
I knew just by
break it up?
how it... Yeah, I would break it up. So I would take 10 milligrams and I was wired, lots of highlighters and underlines while studying or going out or whatever it was. So I was a shadow of myself. And then the main panic attack was in San Francisco, where it was floor of my apartment, heart beating out of my chest, where I actually thought I might be dying because it was so intense. And for a long time, I didn't let myself feel my feelings. I was like, I'm a nice, good girl. I don't get angry. Everything is perfect and positive and I am happy, and that really, I felt built up in that moment as well. And that's when I was like, okay, I've had enough. I can't keep doing this. This is so not me. This is so not my life.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided something has to drastically change. And so I quit my job, sold all my belongings, and moved to New York in 48 hours.
Whoa, right after that moment?
Right after that, soon after that moment, I sat down with a friend of mine and I was like, I feel called to New York and I don't know why. And I'd never been to New York. But I was like, I just feel like I have to go there. And that was my intuition, my soul speaking. And he was like, well, then you have to go. And I was like, but I have this job. I have all this stuff in my apartment. I have a car. And he was like, well, quit the job. I can borrow your car for a little while if you need it. And sell your stuff. And I was like, well, I have $1,000 in my bank account. And he's like, great. That makes a better story. And that that really helped me realizing wait, I'm just telling a story. And so far, the story that I've been buying into, that I need to hustle for success and approval and validation, the story that I had been creating of my life was so not serving me. And I started thinking wait, what would be a story that would actually energize, excite, expand me? What's the story that I want my life to be? And that's when I was like, well, I would make some crazy leap that. Why not? I have this opportunity now in my life. And so I did. And that was really, I think, the beginning of what began to shift, because I was writing a Tumblr at that point, back when Tumblr was a thing. And at first it just started as a journal to sort of sort through my feelings, things I was going through, questions who am I? Why am I here? I was asking all those big life questions. And so I wrote about this leap from San Francisco to New York, and the piece ended up going viral.
Wow. You leapt before leaping was cool.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
now I feel like it's pretty.
Everyone's leaping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because this was 2009, I think.
Oh, wow.
Did you listen to your intuition before? Like I'm surprised that you were putting it off for so long, and then you heard this ping and you listened to this one.
I mean, I was always very intuitive, even as a kid, and like always creative, always making things. Even in college, like I worked with Apple, which all came through this like intuitive pull. I went to this one place, met this guy, and it sort of happened really randomly. But then it was like I was putting so many destructive behaviors on top of my intuition that I was ignoring it. So it was like when I was popping Adderall, I couldn't even feel what was true and what was not true. Like I was so not myself. And so like, I feel like there's our true self and there's our not self. And I was buying into this not self, which was really buying into, I think, our society's definition of what success looks like, or me trying to be that. And then just began to wonder, wait, what would my true self do here? Like what feels true? And that's when the listening began again.
What did your family and friends think?
So I didn't tell anyone what I was doing until I got to the airport.
Good one.
Except for my roommate, who was super supportive. But and it took me, because I thought about New York for about 9 months. And when I talked to mentors about it, because I was doing great and like great on paper in tech. Like I was talking to Facebook and Google about possibly working there. And my mentors were like, "You're crazy. What are you going to go be, like a life coach or something? Like you can't, they said, I'm not letting you leave this career path." And, that was really hard to hear. But the one friend, Amit, who was like, "Go." And then I just knew I had to. So I called my mom when I got to the airport and said, "Don't be mad, but here's what I'm doing." And my mom, she was an entrepreneur, and she was interior design and in construction and real estate development. And so she was used to risk taking.
Right.
And so she didn't freak out. She was just like, "Okay, it's a little like dramatic, but fine, be safe. Call me when you get there. I believe in you." She didn't have a choice at that point. She may have like had me slow it down a little bit or like think about it a little bit more, but she knew like she's got this.
So when you landed in New York and you only had $1,000 in your bank account, like were you staying with friends? Like what did it feel like when you got there? What was did you have a plan of action?
So yeah, I stayed with a friend initially, and I sold my car. So that gave me a little bit more cash. So when I sold my belongings, I had like 3 months of New York runway. And so I stayed with a friend at first, and then found an apartment living with 2 other roommates. And then basically was like, okay, I got to hustle. So I have 3 months, and I'm just going to like, A, how can I make money? B, how can I explore my curiosities? Those are like the 2 questions I was asking myself. How can I add to the runway so I can continue to explore and experiment? And the friend who encouraged me to make the leap, I called him up and said, "Hey, are you doing," he had this like photography community and business that was just thriving. And I said, "Hey, what if I was your East Coast sidekick? Like help me make like lock in collaborations, ad deals, like whatever. Let me see if I can support you." And he had a lot of relationships with like Squarespace and Tumblr and Vimeo and Busted Tees. Those were all many friends of his. So he started making all these introductions. And I remember I walked into Squarespace and sold like a large ad deal in 5 minutes. And that was like, okay, great. Now I have 2.5 more months of runway.
Yeah.
And so it just became like, I was just like in this mode of hustling. And then with my curiosities, I was like, I was writing a ton more. I started this late night co-working group called New York Night Owls. And I wanted to bring people together late at night because I was not working. I was like working from like 9 p.m. till 3 a.m. It was very much in that like New York City lifestyle. And that idea ended up spreading to 30 countries in 3 months. And we were on the front page of the New York Times business section, and ABC World News did a story. So that was like the one idea that took off of the like 12 I was playing with.
What was the idea behind that?
It was that there were all these co-working spaces in New York. It was like, that was the new thing.
Oh.
And no one was using the co-working spaces at night, but so many people were working alone at night. So it's like, what if we got together and actually built community around like late night work, which is so the opposite of who I am now. I'm like not trying to work from 9 p.m. till 3
same.
I was still very much in
like the early birds crew. You can have the night owl crew. I'm the early birds.
Yeah. So like that was just sort of, early 20s hustle mode that I was in.
Yeah.
How did you advertise? Like how would someone get people to come to their meetup?
Yeah, we created like NewYorkNightOwls.com, I think it was. And then we tapped into the community of the already existing co-working spaces. So they like let their people know. We let like our people, we just like posted about it on social media. And I think like 45 people showed up to the first one.
Wow.
And so we're like, oh, there's something to this. And then other people in cities and countries started saying, oh, I want, like, this is a great idea. I want this too. There was a surprising demand of people who didn't want to work alone at night.
Yeah, there is like, I do feel like Justin always feels like night owls get a bad rap.
Yeah.
You know, because he is a night owl. He likes to stay up late. But I feel like there is like a sense of community that you could create. Did you monetize that?
We, you know, this was the tension point between me and the co-founder. We started to, and that's when I lost interest in working late at night. And I don't know, I wanted it to not be, for whatever reason, that was probably a story I had about money at the time. But that's when he sort of took it on, and it like sort of worked, but didn't really work. That was harder to scale.
When you got to New York, like, were there any temptations that kind of triggered you back to not necessarily Adderall, but like that feeling of kind of numbing or, you know, just being on something?
Yeah, I feel like probably, you know, from Adderall, it probably took me 4 or 5 years to fully peel back all the layers of my different numbing and avoiding coping mechanisms, whether that was like avoiding conflict in a relationship.
Totally.
Or like going out partying or not allowing or making my feelings wrong. I feel like, you know, that went on for a period of time, and it was like a slow process of understanding what behaviors were and were not serving me, like food to numb. Because then, like, you know, Adderall like sped up your metabolism and made me so thin. And then like all of a sudden I started gaining weight, didn't know how to do that, didn't know how to like control my appetite or know what my true appetite was, both creatively as well as like from a food and nourishment perspective. So like it took me a while to also learn how to remotivate myself, to understand like what truly was driving me and motivating me.
Sure.
So true, because Adderall like is a motivator. Like it's like crack. So you're like motivated by nothing. You're motivated by like an outside source and like a stimulant. So yeah, finding what actually is truly motivating you. That's so interesting.
Which became really the question. So like I'm a big believer that our mess can be our message. So like my whole mess, and that like became the core question of mine. Like, what truly drives and motivates me? What are my true curiosities? Who am I really? And then that is what the foundation of, you know, I'd say the last 10 years of my life has been. That's like what sent me on this crazy journey.
What did your post that went viral? What did you write about?
I shared that I had quit my job, sold my stuff, and moved in 48 hours, and that I was on this quest to like discover who I really was.
Wow.
And not who I thought everyone else wanted me to be.
What was it like? What did you learn like working in Silicon Valley or in that area where most of the industry is men?
Yeah.
You know, what did that teach you about business and about yourself, or maybe it even triggered some things?
Well, I realized in this whole healing journey that, so I lost my father when I was young.
How old were you?
I was 3 when he got in an accident. Actually, he was a brilliant artist, singer-songwriter, businessman, but also like loved sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Wow.
And he was on tour for his band Dreamer. He was like played 7 instruments, lead guitarist, songwriter. And he got behind the wheel of a car under the influence. And that led to the death of his best friend. And he went into a coma. He didn't die, but he was basically never regained full consciousness from when I was 3 until 12. So the absence of him, I feel like created this like father-sized hole in my heart that I didn't know was there. And so I was trying to fill the void of him and fill the void and the desire for love and approval from men with Adderall, with like working in a male-dominated industry where men could validate me. And so I felt like Silicon Valley, and even what motivated me to go there, was for men to approve of me by me proving myself to them. And so I was like hustling, and that's what I was really going for. And I didn't realize that was motivating me at the time. I was like, I'm so interested in innovation and technology. No, bullshit.
I know.
I was like,
yeah, I mean, I'm just like, that's such a fascinating like way to, because it is almost like empowering, because you're like, I want to, you know, be amongst what I know as like power, and and to learn it and to kind of be one of them. But like, what was it like as a child? Because like those are really formative years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you have an awareness of what was going on? Like, how do you think that like has affected you? Just like kind of this idea that your father is like not really here, but he's here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, thanks to my mom, who is just like a total badass and like played both roles so well and was like both the provider as well as the caretaker. And like, she was my best friend growing up. I'm really grateful for the way that she like mothered and fathered me to her best ability. And, but at the same time, there was like, it always felt like something was missing or like not there. And I was just, I wanted to know and I was curious about it. And it like, because my mom I didn't really know about it until I think I was like, actually, I start the book, like I vividly remember one of my first memories is talking to him on the phone, my dad. And it was weeks before he got in the car accident. And he calls my grandmother's house and she hands me the phone and she says, "It's your father." And he says to me, like, "I know I haven't been around much, but know that no matter what, I'll always love you." Like I vividly remember that. And I remember, and then for my grandmother and my mom were on interesting terms, probably because my father had left us to go pursue his dream of music. I remember my grandmother saying to me, "But don't tell your mom about this." And I just remember the feeling I remember where I was standing in the kitchen when she said that, and just like the feeling in my body of like, something's not okay here. Something's not right. So of course I told my mom as soon as she picked me up, and that led to like a blowout fight with them. But I remember that conversation with him. I remember weeks later, then like something happening. And then it wasn't until I was like 6, 7 that I was like, "Where's dad?" And even on a school field trip, like we went to this care center. And I remember apparently I like went to the teachers and the people at the front desk and was like, "Is my dad here?" And so then they went and talked to my mom about that. And they're like, "So she's asking for her dad on field trips."
Oh.
And so that's when my mom was like, "Okay, time to take her to really see him." And so then when I was like 7, 8, went and saw him in the care center. And he was just, he was basically like a vegetable of himself. And so then, when he actually finally passed when I was about 12, I was so relieved. I was like, thank God, like, woo, like he's been in this like in between space for so long, for 9 years. And like he can finally rest in peace now. And so I felt like relief. And I learned to grieve. I feel like I grieved the loss of my father through breakups, as interesting as that sounds, and didn't know that like why a relationship was so heartbreaking, because it was tied to a fear of abandonment with men and people dying and things like that. And so I grieved, I feel like, him later in life, but also felt just like tremendous trust and relief that like he could now go on.
Were your parents married the whole time, or what?
My mom got pregnant very quickly.
Okay.
And like I think she was 21.
Okay.
And then they got married when she was like, I think she was 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And so they were married. But when the accident happened, I don't know if she'd even want me saying this, but like my grandpa, because he had left and it would have put us in a really bad position, my like grandpa helped figure out how to annul that marriage real quickly.
Really?
So she wasn't responsible for him medically.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Which is why she couldn't control, like, because I think he was on machines a lot longer than he needed to be.
Yeah.
And that was his mother's decision.
Yep.
And my mom didn't have any say in that.
I know.
And the cost of that for that many years.
I mean, we would have had millions and millions of dollars in bills.
Millions.
Yeah.
Millions. There's one of my best friends, her best friend is in a vegetative state. She went into anaphylactic shock after eating ice cream with peanut butter in it that she didn't know about. She's been in a vegetative state for 6 years. And it's just, the family was so wealthy and it just drains you. It's so hard. And you always have hope. There's some times where she'll move or something like that. And I can imagine with your father as a mother, his mother had hope. So hard.
What is your relationship with like death?
I feel pretty comfortable with death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I feel that from you. I'm like,
probably because I,
Probably because you live too.
Yeah. And like literally I start the book with Don't Die With Your Gift Still Inside, because that was the thought I had when he did pass. It was like, oh, thank God. And then I was pissed off and I was mad that he like wasted his life and never faced himself. And he like, because my mom said he was the most brilliant person she'd ever met, like brilliantly, like on a business and a creative perspective, and just that he had so much to give, but let, you know, his own addictions get in the way, which is why my breakdown moment was like, so like when I realized, holy shit, I'm actually following in my father's footsteps. Like it's not cocaine, but it's Adderall. And woo, I like need to get it together. Me realizing that, you know, maybe I had more in common with him than I realized. And so that was like, now I'm going to like, yeah, I'm going to live fully. And, you know, I can't control when death happens, but I can like control, like, I mean, I could have died if I had continued taking Adderall. Like, who knows what that was doing to my heart. And so just knowing that I am responsible for my own health.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Chosen Foods.
Just had some Chosen Foods mayo. I went and got some vegan sushi, or like just brown rice sushi and avocado and vegetables. And it's just kind of bland. So I had to spice it up.
So good. Did you use the wasabi mayo?
Yeah. It's so bomb. You just put like a little bit of wasabi mayo. And because it's the full fat, like you're getting healthy fats made with avocado oil, which is one of Chosen Foods staples, it fills you up for hours.
Fills you up.
It's so clean.
And I didn't know this. I was talking about this last time we talked about Chosen Foods, but like avocado oil is the safest to use because most oils, which I grew up using like olive oil, all that stuff, their smoke point is only 350. So avocado oils is 500.
Wow.
So you can use that to cook and not worry about basically toxins being burned off in your oil.
Wow. I didn't even think about that. I've been using their avocado oil for a long time, but I didn't really understand like the full benefits of it, but really it is that it's the one ingredient. It's the sprays have no emulsifiers or anything like that. And including or incorporating more avocado of any type into my diet has been like really great for my hormone health, really great for my skin, and just really keeps you full. So huge fans of Chosen Foods. They offer a variety of healthy fats, plant-based proteins, and ancient superfoods. We really love them, and we really love that they are bringing people back in the kitchen with their all-natural, real food ingredients that sustain and nourish our bodies. Me and Lindsay are down with that.
Down with that. And it's vegan mayo. I mean,
honey.
I thought the day would never come, to be honest. So there's no dairy, eggs, no glyphosate, can't say it, residue, GMOs, or canola oil in it. So it's all plant powered, which you know we love. So you can go to chosenfoods.com/almost30 and you use our code almost30 at checkout for 50% off, 50% off your order of $10 or more. So that's chosenfoods.com/almost30. Use our code to get 50% off, $10 or more. This episode is also brought to you by Silver Fern brand. So our group has been popping off, telling us how much they love Silver Fern. It's helped with their gut health, their energy, and it's one of their new favorite protein mixes. So what I'm loving from Silver Fern right now, as always, is their Endurance Energy Drink Mix in raspberry lemonade. So good. It has K27, D-ribose, and alpha GPC. So it elevates your body's ability to have increased energy capacity and generates more energy for a longer period of time. So what I'm finding is that this is the only quote unquote pre-workout that doesn't give me the crazies. Okay. Like I normally with any plant-based pre-workouts that I've tried before, it gives me like pain in my jaw. I don't think that's normal. Endurance Energy does not do that. I feel like it's this steady build and this prolonged feeling of, oh, I feel energetic, like I'm in a good mood. Not that I'm not always, but I mean, you know what I mean? It just kind of gives you that extra, and it's gluten-free. So I love that product. I also love their digestive enzymes. I'll say it. I mean, it really does help. You take it before a meal. It helps you digest your food. Anything with gut health, I'm really about. I mean, your gut is your second brain. So it's really important that we are taking care of our gut. So probiotics, digestive enzymes, and their new protein powder has probiotics in it. So it's an organic protein, plant-based. It's
delicious. It's in rich chocolate flavor, which we love. And it allows you to get maximum absorption because you need help digesting the protein. So it really gives you comfort as you digest and also promotes lean muscle growth. So we're so about this company. We had Charity Layton on the podcast a while back. Listen to that episode. We love this brand, silverfernbrand.com. And you can use our code almost30 for 15% off your order.
When you talked about the breakups and your father relationship, can you tell a little bit more about how that's correlated?
Yeah. So, there's always underlying fears that drive our decisions and our motivations. And I mean, I definitely went through a period of time of dating emotionally available men, thinking I could get them to love me. And that I think was tied to both knowing unconsciously that they would eventually leave me and it would reinforce my belief that I was not worthy of love. Because I feel like
Emotionally unavailable.
Okay. Because then they would leave and then I would, because like we always find the evidence for what we choose to believe.
Sure.
And what I was unconsciously believing is that men I love will leave me and I am not worthy of love. And so I would date men who would reinforce that story for me. And so, through, there was one relationship in particular that was just like so heart shattering for me. And it was through grieving that and beginning a lot of this healing work that I realized like, whoa, this is actually not about him. He's just a manifestation of my story.
A mirror. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a mirror. And so realizing that was like, wow, okay, actually this breakup was a gift. And like, what is it from my childhood that I never really healed or resolved? And so that gave me an opportunity to see how, so many relationships I was reinforcing that, like dating another emotionally available man, until I learned that I will never leave me. And love comes from me. And when that happened, that's when I started to attract a completely different kind of man into my life. Because I wouldn't put up with like any bullshit.
Yeah. How did you do that healing? So you found that out. So how would someone heal to change that story?
Yeah. So much of my process and journey, I feel like I came home to myself through writing and through journaling. And for me, it's becoming aware of the story, like just simply illuminating, oh my God, like I have like just discovering what I just shared with you. Like when I discovered that, I was like, whoa. And then, with any story we can say, is this true? Byron Katie's 4 questions, she calls it the work, is this true? Can I be sure this is true? What happens when I believe in that thought? Well, when I believe that I'm not worthy of love, I become like a psychotic person. Like I act in ways that are so not me. I go after things that aren't aligned with my truth. And like, who would I be if I believed a different thought? And then you turn it around to like, instead of saying men I love will leave me, it's, I will never leave me is the turnaround, and taking, responsibility and ownership. And so I began studying different spiritual teachers like Byron Katie, where a lot of her work is around how we shift these beliefs.
Yeah.
And just making sure that whenever I'm telling myself a story, realizing that I can look for evidence for that, and then I can look for evidence that the opposite is true.
Yes.
And that always is so helpful for me, whether that's like, whether it's like rejection around, I don't know, like
book deals.
A book deal. Yeah. Like I had an agent tell me like to go on an egoless journey before I give any more thought to a book, and that I wasn't ready. And I was like, at first I was like, is he right?
What's an egoless journey?
I don't even know. I was like, who the hell is this guy?
He's like,
maybe you need to go on an egoless journey,
He's
sir.
like, go to Coney Island for the weekend and call me after. Like, what?
And like that was actually one of like my flips. I was like, okay, well, how else can I look at this? Well, maybe he needs to go on an egoless journey. I was like, or like maybe I actually am ready, and here's evidence to prove that I am. And so it's always looking for the evidence that the opposite of whatever belief you have that's not serving you is also true.
Wow.
What was the evidence that showed up for when like you turned this into your business and your purpose?
That really happened organically and unexpected, like in a really unexpected way. So after the whole New York experiment thing, I started working with Seth Godin. He put out this call.
How'd you meet him?
He put out a call in his blog that he wanted to start a new publishing experiment, and he was looking for accomplices. And I randomly, like, I mean, this is like the synchronicity of everything. I had been reblogging an author's quotes. He reached out to me, said he loved my story. We met up. He happened to be good friends with Seth. I then grabbed coffee with Seth. And then a few months later, he put out this call. And so I filled out the application and then went through his whole like boot camp style interview process.
What was it like?
It was like a 2-day thing. He brought in, I think, like 24 of us from around the world who were wanting to work with him on this project.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, you have 5 minutes to create a cover of a book. Now create the table of contents. Now, like, he would like take it in a room and be like, how do you deal with fear? And like, or like, maybe, I don't know if that was the exact question, but it was just like real intense training. And then like putting us into teams, and we had to come up with pitches for books and things like that. And I remember walking out of the 2 days thinking, there is no way that he is choosing me to be a part of this. Like, absolutely not. But he did. And when I was working with Seth, that's when I started getting more just eyeballs on my work and my writing. And that's when people started reaching out and saying, hey, I've seen you make all these major shifts in your life. Can you help me? And at this point, I'm 25 years old. And I'm like, why the hell do they want me to help them with their life? Like, I'm still figuring this shit out. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Just like experimenting. But I decided, okay, this can be another experiment. And then started working with people, and they started having these big results. So I was like, that's interesting.
Wow. Did you feel like, was there any imposter syndrome going on?
Oh, majorly. Majorly. I mean, that was a lot of like, I mean, who am I? Why would they?
Yeah, I wouldn't have the balls to go to Seth Godin's boot camp interview. I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'll get coffee for everyone.
I think you would go if you like spent
know.
14 hours answering the initial application. And then he
it
was
was
like
14-hour application.
Like before I even arrived at the boot camp. And so I like filled it out, and that was like, he's not going to pick mine. There's thousands.
We need to increase our intern application.
Really?
Jesus Christ.
Like, what's your IG handle?
What'd you have for breakfast?
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, I don't know if it was a 14-hour application.
No,
I
I know.
spent 14 hours on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And how were you making money at that time before you applied?
That was like the
With the guy?
Yeah, the guy in different experiments. Like
Wow.
barely making it work.
Wow.
Were you dating anyone at this time?
I don't think so. Not anything serious. I was still working through all the stories
breakups,
about my lovability.
And were you on Adderall?
No.
When did
That
you
was
get, when did you, how did you feel when you got off of it?
And that was actually like
Physically.
right, like when I worked with Seth, I like have never taken a pill since.
Cool.
I think there was like still a little bit of like slowly, I didn't want to like just immediately stop. So from like, there were like 9 months from San Francisco to New York. And I like very slowly, completely went off of it.
Wow.
That's crazy. Sorry, my contact.
Okay.
I don't need it. I want to talk about your book.
Yay.
Your beautiful cover.
Mhm.
The idea behind it. Like what tapped you to create this? And what will our girls find by reading it?
Yeah. So it's called Choose Wonder Over Worry.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically brings to life all of these stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves. All of these like, and I bring worry and wonder to life as these characters. Worry is our inner critic. Wonder is our curious inner guide. And basically, you know, what I discovered over the last 10 years, both with myself and any person that I worked with, is that whatever we were feeding, whether we were feeding worry or feeding wonder, that is the life we created and who we became. And so, you know, I feel like the story of my life was really moving out of worry, both about whether worry showed up as imposter syndrome or addiction or not feeling good enough or thinking I should do something to please someone else, like all these ways that it showed up in my life. When I fed wonder, both in wondering about who I am and wondering if these things I was telling myself were even true, that's when life opened up. And so it's, you know, the book really, it's really raw, really honest, really vulnerable. And then it also weaves in the different, like, you know, I met with neuroscientists and psychotherapists and, you know, different teachers and leaders along this 10-year path. And I weave the insights I learned from them.
Yeah. What are some of those like insights, like scientific insights?
So
what's going on?
What really drove it home for me around like even using the word worry was I met with a neuroscientist, Dr. James Doty. He's a neurosurgeon at Stanford. And he said that we spend nearly 80% of our time with regret about the past or anxiety about the future. The average human spends 80% of their time every day in that state of worry. And that's when I was like, ugh, because that means we're literally spending 80% of our lives on things that A, we can't control, and B, we usually can't change. And so that just like hurt me because I thought of like all the life we're not living as a result of these anxieties and fears that so often we're making up or we're inheriting and taking on from other people.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of it, is that people are taking it on from their family or like it's like genetic imprinting that you get from your family that you people oftentimes need to reevaluate because it's a story, that they've been telling. Because you're so raw in here, did you write this before you met your fiance?
I wrote the book in 2.5 months last summer.
Really?
But I wrote it in 2.5 months because I'd been writing for 10 years.
Okay.
And so a lot of it were like either stories I had told, but like, it came out in like these 2.5 months in Bali.
Yeah.
But no, most of it was more current writing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I would be afraid to be so raw and honest and have my family and loved ones read it. Did you ever have that fear?
Yes.
Okay.
And did that fear come to light?
I talk about that fear in the book. So like so much of it was like, and this was because I didn't fully figure out the structure of the book until 3 weeks before my deadline. I just had all of this writing. But what happened in Bali is that all my anxiety about writing it and being seen and being vulnerable came to the surface in writing it. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this is really good creative material. And so when we can see our own fears and vulnerabilities as material, I think that's what makes our work really relatable. And so like I just decided to really lean in. Yeah. And I let my mom know, like, because I talk about in there, like a moment when I nearly cheated on my fiance when I I was like, his mom cannot read this. Like, she's going to hate me. And just like feeling such strong sexual attraction with someone else and like all the shame and guilt that came along with that.
Shame.
Yeah.
So that's intense.
Yeah. I want to dig into that.
Yeah. Say more. Cause I feel, that would be really hard to be that honest.
Yeah.
But it's also something that so many people experience.
Yeah.
So like,
except for Justin,
I think too.
Except for Farhad.
I know, it's so weird.
He's like, I only see you.
Gay, but for me. It's like gay plus me.
I can relate to that. Yeah. So it was like a year and a half ago, I was at this event and I bumped into this guy and it was like a surge of sexual energy exploded through my body. Like, whoa. It like brought up all these questions. Like, is there something missing from my relationship? And I was actually at a retreat this weekend and this woman talked about how we have primary and secondary soulmates. And a secondary soulmate is that like light, fire, sexual, oh my God, like sort of connection, but that usually fizzles out really quickly. And the primary soulmate is like the best friend, the person you want to build a life with, all of those things. And Farhad, my fiance, is without a doubt my primary soulmate. He's my person. And yet I like met this secondary, I think because soulmates can come in really quickly, met this guy who like awoke something in me sexually. And that just brought up all these questions and fears that something was wrong with my relationship. And also like guilt and shame of like, why am I feeling this towards someone else? Like I'm really happy in this relationship. And through that process, I realized that I was avoiding some hard conversations with my fiance, with Farhad. Like maybe I wasn't being as honest about my desires sexually, or maybe there were certain like behaviors that were like 5 years into our relationship that I was putting up with that I didn't want to anymore. And so I realized we were avoiding certain hard conversations. And so like post this experience, he actually flies to England to meet my like British family for the first time. And I am just like so distant. And he immediately is like, what is going on? And so he's like meeting my family for the first time while I like really opened up and shared with him like what happened and like this guy that I met and all the things. And of course he like immediately shut down.
Yeah.
And was just like, and was like really hurt and thinking, something was wrong with him or he wasn't able to like be enough for me is like what really came up for him. But we decided like, no, like we can work through this. Like this is actually an opportunity for us. And so we like Esther Perel, we like, chatted with her and
texted her and you're like, hey,
what
girl.
do you mean? What do you mean you chatted with Esther Perel?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Hey girl, having a prob.
Is that your great aunt?
Yeah.
No, but we're connected to her through the New York community, through our New York community.
So you had like a one-on-one?
New York.
Farhad was at a dinner and like went deep with her about everything that was coming up for him.
Really?
Yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah.
Poor Esther. She just wants to chill. Farhad's like, damn, this thing just happened.
She's
No,
the
but what'd she
best.
say?
We want her on the pod.
she was like, your first relationship is over. Do you want another one? And like, and I realized like, and that's like so much of her work. Like, yeah, like, that nothing happened, but like something isn't serving. And that was like the line that really stuck out to me, is that like so much of our relationship and where there were areas of pretending or avoiding hard conversations, that was over. So what was this new beginning for us? Well, we were going to like face all the shit together, and we're going to like hold hands and walk through it. And so that's what really, I feel like the last year of our relationship has been. I'm so glad that we went there, because I feel so much closer to him. There's so much more intimacy and depth. Like, I am certain I'm marrying him, and we like finally set our wedding date. It's just like, I feel like we had to go there and like be like, what is the kind of relationship that we want? What does it look like? And like, this is like also like, we're human and we're going to feel sexual attraction for other people. And like, that's okay. Let's not shame ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's just like have an honest, safe space where we can talk about these
Did he
things.
open up about any feelings that he might have experienced? Like,
he's also gay just for me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Very
where it's
cool.
like, he like literally just doesn't have any interest in other women, which is really flattering. And he was actually saying last night, he's like, do you want like a one card where it's like you get that one chance in our relationship where you like meet someone and you like can explore it? And so we're like, because I'm not
Open
interested.
relationships.
Yeah, I don't want a full open.
Yeah.
I don't think full polyamory. I dated someone who like really wanted to go there. And we played with it. It didn't feel for me. Like I'd rather go deeper with one person
Yeah.
than have the breadth of a lot of different people.
'cause I feel like one person can be a lot of different people and not in like a bipolar or Gemini type of way. I really no, because like I feel like you can have so much fun just kind of like tapping into different sides of people. I don't know.
I'm a
Okay.
different person every 2 years, so it's only a long
It's the
road for
truth.
Justin, to be completely honest. It is interesting too, like about attraction to people, because the more I love my life, the more love I exude, the more beauty I bring into my life, the more I feel like I'm going to love others or be attracted to others. So I think about that, like I haven't been attracted or had interest in anyone else. But I see where people do open relationships. It makes sense to me where if you are looking to maximize the amount of love in your life, then the openness and ability to have love should be experienced by as many people as possible in whatever form that best serves you or whatever form that you receive love in. So, if you did have a relationship with your wife, and you loved her and but you could also have another person that you love wholly, So there is a lot of dirt and stuff around there too. But I actually, at its very core, I understand open relationships, because sex is just a component or a tool of communication within a relationship. And you can learn spiritually and sexually with more than one person if you are open to it. Because jealousy is the worry. Sexuality is a wonder, I guess, that kind of thing. Could be a tool for your growth, I guess.
And it's just like the closeness to like your values that you think you need to hold so tight, like how you grew up. And our friend Peter Kelly talks about dropping the dogma, and like it's like dropping the shame around, doing things differently.
Yep.
And I think it's so much about letting go of the ego, because if I think about it, if my partner were to explore something with someone else just in a sexual way, I would just have anxiety, because I'm like thinking about how it's not me, or am I good enough in every way that she's, like it would just be about me. It really wouldn't be about, I don't know. Like
I know.
That's it. Because I would want my partner to feel joy and freedom, and
like sometimes it's like
explore.
They could feel joy and freedom outside of you.
Well, that's the thing. And that's the whole thing. That's a healthy relationship, is to not make that other person your entire world.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Maxi Climber.
So I was in LA. There's this new workout that everyone's talking about, and it's basically
a bunch of maxi climbers in a room. And I went with Aubrey.
The workout is so effective in such a short amount of
it was
time.
30 minutes.
It's shocking.
I've never experienced that, to ever do something that was that quick of a workout. So it's really just like, it was like a vertical climber workout. And really it gets your butt because you're like moving your legs up and down, and then you're getting your arms too. So I liked it because it was like moving the armpit fat like right underneath your bra, which is really nice. But now we have something where we can basically do that workout at home, and everyone can do that even if you're not in LA.
Yeah, we've been spending a lot of time at the studio. So we actually have one here as well to kind of fit in just a little bit of movement in between interviews and things like that as well. So whether you're in your home or even your office, this piece of equipment, one is super easy to assemble. It's 90% pre-assembled, which I like to hear because I don't like putting things together.
Same.
So you just attach the little legs and you're done. And it could easily fit underneath your bed or underneath the desk, anything like that. So I love that about it. It saves money and time. So you don't really need a gym membership. This cardio and this strength training is like a full package. And they also have an app which you can get and track your workouts. There's trainers on the app. There's just a great way to kind of make it a holistic experience. So for our listeners, you can go to maxiclimber.com and enter the code almost30 at checkout to get 15% off your Maxi Climber plus bonus accessories worth over $50. And that includes a waist trainer, fitness mat, and workout armband. So almost 30 is the code at checkout on maxiclimber.com, gets you 15% off plus bonus accessories valued at over $50. You know, this is great for people who want to save time, who want to do a hard, intense, effective workout in a short amount of time, who don't really have the space for a huge piece of equipment in their home. This fits underneath a bed, in a closet. It's so easy, so light. I'm pumped. I'm pumped at the possibilities here, guys. So let us know if you get the Maxi Climber and how you like it. Send us videos, tag us. We want to know all the things.
Yeah, it's interesting how my thing has shifted too. Like when I was younger, I was like, looking at another girl. Like we'd be at a party, look at another girl, and I'm like, losing it, or like porn, losing it. Like losing it. Strip clubs, say the word, losing it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just so much more like, not necessarily a fan because it feels low vibration to me. So I'm not going to seek it out, but I just don't really care anymore. Like I'm so comfortable that with Justin, it's like if we see someone that's attractive, like I'll be the first to say it. There's just something that feels so open, and it makes me do it. It does make me feel more connected to him because it's like we're saying what's obvious. We're agreeing, we're saying what's obvious. There's not anything we're hiding because I can read his mind. He can read mine. We're connected. Same with anyone that you're with for the most part. Like Lindsay's, I can read her mind. So it's like if you're connected enough to read your mind by saying what you're both thinking, it's almost like, okay, phew, like I want to fuck that dude. So was it awkward with your family then?
It was a little awkward. And then my mom like pulled me aside. She's like, what's going on? Like, give me the cliff notes. And I was like,
you told her.
Oh,
yeah, you're close.
Yeah. And then she's like, okay, hold on. And then she, of course, thinks she needs to handle things. And so she went out, because like Farhad was just like being a shadow of himself. She grabbed him. She's like, listen, your family, I don't know exactly what you're feeling and what exactly went on, but your family, we're going to be okay. And you need to get it together. And he like,
good for mom.
Yeah. And he was like, okay, yeah, she's right. Like, it's going to be okay. And things began to turn around and he began to open up again. And that's what led to us like really rethinking. Though I've realized like the edge for me having, my whole story around abandonment, being with someone who doesn't want to leave me is actually my edge. He loves me so much and like just I'm his person and he just wants to like build everything with me, that's actually the greater edge for me versus going out and again finding someone who's unavailable.
Feel that.
So that's like when
Meaning it stirs up a little bit of anxiety for you?
Yeah, because the patterning that I learned was that men leave. And it's like, but wait, man wants to stay. Can I trust him?
Yeah.
Way.
I feel that.
It's like I want it so bad that when I get it, I'm like,
like,
took me like 4 years to be like, oh, you're not like faking. Like with Justin, I'm like, oh, you actually are a good person. You are that sweet. You are that.
I just get anxiety about them putting a lot of pressure on what I could be.
Tell me more.
know?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Like if someone is like, you are my world. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, I hope
I don't want to be your world.
Yeah, like I don't mean it like that. Maybe it's a healthy, like
I agree.
I am fully committed to you, whatever. Like maybe I'm just like, I'm out of that. I haven't had that in a very long time. I don't even know if I've actually ever had it, to be honest. But like that for me, like feels a little like, okay, so I gotta be my best. Like I just gotta like be that for someone. It's like, feels like pressure. Yeah. Gotta work through that.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure. I don't want that. You want to stand side by side, not facing
Yeah, 100%.
each other.
You're so right.
You know, you don't want, I've always said that. I'm like, I want to have my own thing and I want you to have your own thing. I want to walk with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want almost to a fault, but
how did he feel about the book?
He loved it.
oh,
Yeah.
he did.
He was like a guinea pig. He flew to Bali toward the end just to like read it all and like support in the final
Really?
process. So he was a huge support. Huge support.
What was the greatest thing you learned from Seth Godin?
For our listeners who don't know who Seth Godin is,
He has like the number one, or had at one point, the number one marketing blog on the internet.
Mhm.
He basically like invented permission marketing and how ideas spread online.
Mhm.
And he has like 12 New York Times number one bestselling books.
Mhm.
I learned from him to, one of the big things is to make more mistakes. So his whole thing is that, and just like the relationship to failure and rejection.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're going to fail. Like instead of fearing when you fail, it's like, you are going to fail. So then what? And so, yeah, relationship to putting yourself out there, trying things, making more mistakes. So he was always encouraging us through the process. Like, okay, let's fail faster, fail faster, fail faster.
Wow.
Because the faster we fail, the more we learn and the more we can adjust to what is like truly right and where this wants to go.
Wow.
So it was really, and which was really uncomfortable.
Do you work with dudes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Men and women. I don't really, I don't do coaching work as much anymore.
Okay.
I more write and create art and speak is like the vehicle to reach people.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other evolution, realizing, as Julia Cameron calls it, I was being a shadow artist.
What do you mean?
So a shadow artist is someone who is behind other people, helping to elevate and push them forward because they're afraid of stepping into the light. And so when I became like a coach and a catalyst, I was helping all these creatives realize their ideas.
Wow.
And not realizing my own. And so that was a whole other transition.
Who was the teacher that taught you that?
Julia Cameron.
Julia Cameron.
She has a book called The Artist's Way.
Oh, it's in The Artist's Way.
Such a good one.
Wow. That is so true. There's two things I wanted to talk to you about in your book. And then this was one that I believe, so I want to talk about it. And then you have in here talking about anxiety. If my anxiety is a signal that something is out of alignment, what it is trying to tell me is ... And for me personally, I've always felt like when I've been the most anxious is I'm living a life that's unaligned.
Yeah.
My anxiety is completely 100% related to living in alignment. And I feel like that anxiety is telling you to redirect, or it is telling you to do something differently. You know, that you need to like follow something differently. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. So I love emotions and I love feelings. My whole idea is that our feelings are our friends. And if we can learn to listen to them, let them voice whatever they have to say, we can hear what insight is the emotion has for our life. So like anxiety is often trying to tell us, it's like that loyal friend that wakes us up in the middle of the night and is like, hey, something's not okay. Something's out of alignment. And I am going to be really loud and annoying until I get your attention. And so when we realize that our emotions are often just trying to get our attention and getting us to wake up, then we can understand whatever message they're trying to give us. So exactly that. Most of the time when people are raging with anxiety, it's because something is off. It could be the way that they're working. It could be who they're working with. It could be who they're partnering with, the friends that they have. You know, something's off, what they're eating. And until we can really peel back the layers to understand, you know, what is out of alignment and what living in alignment would look like for them, that always quells and reduces the anxiety.
Wow. Yeah. Completely agree.
Did you have something else in the book that you were gonna?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about one of the Instagram posts that you posted that I really, really loved. I love your little drawings.
Thanks.
And it's a drawing that has a bubble. It's a talk bubble that says, they are not respecting me. And then it's an arrow pointing to it that says, not taking responsibility. And then there's an arrow, or there's a talk bubble on the right that says, I'm not setting clear boundaries. And then an arrow pointing to it that says, taking responsibility. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I had this I had these friends that I kept thinking, they're asking too much of me and they're not respecting me. And why are they asking so much? And when I paused and thought about that for a second, I was like, whoa, I'm being a victim. Like, they're not doing anything to me. I'm just not being clear around my needs, my boundaries, and I'm not respecting myself. And, you know, it's so easy to fall into the blame game, to point a finger at someone else, to say that they're doing something to us when really we're doing it to ourselves. And so anytime I notice myself saying they aren't, I pause and I say, wait, what am I not doing? And always turning the they into the I so that I can claim responsibility again, to realize like, wait, yeah, I can set a boundary here. I can let them know what I do or do not want to do. I am the one in control here. And you know, that when we do that, that changes our life completely.
100%.
Yeah. To know that we're in control and we have the decision.
Yeah.
And I think it's like something that especially people going from their 20s to their 30s experience, because you're going to have to you are your own gatekeeper in terms of relationships and the energy you let in and the opportunities you take or let pass by. And to like really know that you have that power. Because I think a lot of people just stand and like, well, you know, like this is just how my life is, or this is kind of what, you know, my path is looking like. And to know that you have that power sounds so simple, but it's really a practice.
Totally.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing right now, is just that people create their own reality. So people are going to get whatever they're expecting that they're going to get. You know, if you're expecting people to not support you, then you are perceiving non-support in all areas, or you're looking for it. Or if you're expecting people to treat you poorly at work or disrespect you at work, or, you know, it's just you get whatever you expect. And I think that people need to take more responsibility for their role in things than they do. Life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yes.
So you need to take control of the situation and how you perceive it.
Yes.
And once you fill that space, once you fill that energy space that's lacking in a situation where you're expecting things to happen to you, your life will completely shift. You know, there's like a lack space with energy that fills with negativity or the other side. That often happens that I see. So I think that was like my favorite. I love those drawings. Do you do those?
I do.
You do those?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cute.
True artists at work.
I love them. They're so fun to make.
I wish we could talk all day.
I know.
But we can't. But this was like such a treat.
Yeah,
and
such a treat.
So inspired by, one, your book, and two, your story. I'm like really grateful that you were willing to share so vulnerably today about your father and your relationship and just everything. I think you'll see, I'm sure a lot of our listeners will deeply relate. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
How can people connect with you?
I'm on Instagram. I love the gram. Hey Amber Ray, and Ray is spelled RAE. And the website for the book is choosewonder.com. And I would love to hear, it means so much to me to hear what lands for you and what resonates. So if there's something from this podcast that in this episode that you're like, oh, that, let me know. I'd love to hear.
That's great.
Love that. What can they expect from the book?
They can expect to move beyond the fears, the anxieties, the worries, the doubts that are preventing them from expressing their gifts in the world. They can get to know how they can reframe envy and see it actually as an ally. They can get to know how they can reframe anxiety and imposter syndrome and perfectionism and understand what those sorts of emotions are really trying to guide them to.
Wow. Love it.
Powerful.
Thanks, honey.
Thanks, sister.
Yeah,
You're
thanks.
The best.
Red Hawks unite.
Yeah.
Red Hawks.
Just to tell you, we're in New York, and Amber came all the way here to
Hotel Indigo.
Hotel Indigo. So we're really grateful that you made the trip over from Dumbo.
Of course.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing, rating, and reviewing on iTunes. We love you. Join our secret Facebook group. Amber, you should join the group.
I'm in the group.
Oh, you are in the group.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay, good.
Okay, good. So we'll start the combo in there. All right. We'll see you next.
See you next week. Bye.
Oh, Amber Ray.
What a doll. She's a doll. She's going to go far. Not that she's not already far.
Honestly,
she's going to go even further.
Inspires me, and I hope it inspires our community and people beyond that to just like be so profoundly honest with yourself, throughout it all. And truly that is like the secret sauce, because I think she could have written a book that was a little bit fluffier, you know, and she chose to write a book that was like really truthful.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to set her
I think that's
apart.
a really profound statement. And her Instagram is at Hey Amber Ray, AMBERRAE. I know I mentioned that I love following her, so you can follow her on Instagram and then get her book, Choose Wonder Over Worry. We're actually going to be doing a giveaway of 3 books for Instagram. So check it out on Instagram and you could find, or you could win one of the copies of her book. So thanks, Amber, for joining us. Amber Ray for joining us. Thanks, guys, for listening. It means so much. And we will see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.